Hi everyone, today's lecture is related to the brain. I'm Professor Nelva Medina and welcome to this part of the course of Biomedical Instrumentation. The brain is one of the largest and most complex organs in the human body. It is made up of more than 100 billion of nerves that communicate in trillions of connections called synapses. Our brain is divided into four lobes. The frontal lobe is the part of the brain that controls important cognitive skills in human. This is the frontal lobe, which is in blue. Um, these skills in humans, such as emotional expression, problem solving, memory, language, judgment, and sexual behaviors, are controlled in the frontal lobe. So we have the motor cortex, which is the somatic motor association area. Then we have the parietal lobe, which is where the information such as taste, temperature, and touch are integrated or processed. So we have here the sensory cortex, which is the somatic sensory association area. Then we have the occipital lobe, which is located here in orange. The occipital lobe makes sense of visual information so that we are able to understand it. Be careful damaging your occipital lobe because you may not see or you may injure in your visual interpretation. So in this uh, part of the lobe, we have the visual cortex, which is the primary visual association area. And finally, we'll have the temporal lobe, which is in yellow. The temporal lobe mainly involves hearing and selective listening, also memory. So in the temporal lobe, we have the auditory cortex, which is the primary auditory cortex association area. And we also have the olfactory cortex and the gustatory cortex located here. And another important part of the brain is not really a lobe, but it's just part of the brain, which is called the cerebellum. The cerebellum is important for being able to perform everyday voluntary tasks such walking or writing. Basically, the cerebellum controls our motor skills. When someone says that it has cerebellum hypoplasia, for instance, the cerebellum is underdeveloped, so it will result in difficulty of walk and ride and making voluntary movements. And now, the neuron. The neuron is the basic unit in the nervous system. It is a specialized conductor cell that receives and transmits electrochemical nerve impulses. There are 100 billion neurons that interact closely with other cell types. There are three different parts of the neuron. An axon, which is located here, the axon, is a long thin process that carries impulses away from the cell body to another neuron or tissue. There is usually only one axon per neuron. So the axon, I must say that is the output structure of the neuron. When a neuron wants to talk to another neuron, it sends an electrical message called an action potential, which is, I'm going to explain this later, throughout the entire axon. Dendrites, receive synaptic input from axons. The dendrite's function is to carry a nerve impulse into the cell body. So I must say that axons are just the output of the cell and dendrites are the inputs. So an input is just an electrical signal coming from another neuron, enters to the cell body, and then transmit the information throughout the axon terminal, which is the output of the cell body. All the process is made here on the soma. Okay, so the soma supports the chemical processing of the neuron, the most important of which is the production of neurotransmitters. When we feel pain, such as when we touch a hot stove, we feel like, sensory receptors in our skin, let's say when we feel pain here, sensory receptors send a message via nerve fibers to the spinal cord. Then your brain interprets the messages as pain, including its location, intensity, and nature, for example, burning. Ouch! Finally, your brain sends pain-suppressing chemicals to the pain source and triggers other response such screaming. Ouch! The general road starts with some sensory receptors. They collect information from inside and outside the body. A sensory neuron detects this type of stimuli. Then the information is being decoded through relay neurons located in the brain or in the spinal cord. A motor neuron sends the activation messages to the effectors, such as your muscles. They receive this message and move the body. Well, that's all for now. Thank you.